My husband played an expensive April Fool's joke on me. Weeks after he drunkenly told me he felt insecure about my new promotion, almost cost me my job and made me lose our baby. So I decided to take the hint and choose myself for real this time. The punchline of my husband's joke cost me my unborn child. My name is Clara, and I'm a 32-year-old director of operations at a tech firm in Seattle. I met Greg 5 years ago. He was the life of the party, the guy who could make a funeral funny, the guy with the quick wit and the infectious laugh. I fell for the charm. I didn't realize that his humor was a weapon he used to level the playing field whenever he felt small. 3 months ago, I got the promotion of a lifetime. I was named the youngest director in the company's history. It came with a significant raise, a corner office, and a lot of responsibility. It also came with a baby. I found out I was pregnant 2 days after the promotion. It felt like the universe was finally aligning. Greg's reaction was complicated. When I told him about the job, he popped the champagne, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Director," he said, testing the word. "Does that mean I have to make an appointment to see my own wife?" He laughed, but the air in the room got colder. 2 weeks later, he came home drunk from a night out with his buddies. He wasn't a heavy drinker usually, so his lack of filter was jarring. He sat at the kitchen island while I was making tea, staring at me with glassy, resentful eyes. "You think you're better than me now, don't you?" he slurred. I turned around, surprised. "What? Greg, no, I'm just doing my job." "Director Clara," he mocked, spinning his wedding ring on the counter. "Making the big bucks, while I'm just a mid-level manager pushing papers. It bothers you, doesn't it, that your husband isn't on your level?" "You're drunk," I said, turning off the kettle. "Go to bed." "I'm insecure," he corrected, his voice dropping to a whisper that sounded more like a growl. "I feel small, Clara, and you're just getting bigger and bigger. It's intimidating. A man wants to feel needed. You don't need me anymore." The next morning, he claimed he didn't remember the conversation. He brought me flowers. He made pancakes. He blamed the whiskey and said he was just stressed about his own project. "I'm proud of you, babe," he said, kissing my forehead. "Really, you're a rock star." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him because I was carrying his child and building a future for us. So, I pushed the memory of his resentment down. Then came April 1st. It was the day of the quarterly board meeting, the biggest day of my career so far. I was presenting the roadmap for the next fiscal year to the CEO and the board of investors. This presentation was worth millions in funding. I had been working on it for weeks. Greg knew how important this was. That morning, he was surprisingly supportive. He made me a smoothie. He packed my bag. "Knock 'em dead," he said with a grin. "Show them why you're the boss." I got to the office at 7:00 a.m. I felt good. I felt prepared. At 9:00 a.m., I walked into the boardroom. The CEO, Mr. Henderson, was there, along with 6 board members. I plugged my laptop into the HDMI cable. I opened my presentation file. The screen on the wall flickered to life, but it wasn't my slide deck. It was a black screen with a red skull and crossbones. A robotic voice suddenly boomed through the conference room speakers I hadn't even turned on. "System COMPROMISCD. Uploading confidential client data to public servers. Transfer complete in 60 seconds. A countdown timer appeared on the massive screen. 59, 58, 57. My heart stopped. The room erupted. "Clara, what is this?" Mr. Henderson shouted, standing up. I don't know," I stammered, frantically hitting keys. "It's not my file, I can't stop it." "Pull the plug," one of the investors yelled. I yanked the HDMI cable, but the image stayed on the screen. It had infected the conference room's internal system. The countdown continued. 40:39. "It's uploading the client list." Mr. Henderson was pale. "If that gets out, we're sued into bankruptcy." Clara, shut it down. I was hyperventilating. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't type. I tried to force a hard restart, but my laptop wouldn't respond. A message popped up on my laptop screen. "Payment required to abort, 50 Bitcoin. "It's ransomware," I gasped, unable to breathe. "We've been hacked." Security burst into the room. It came running. The countdown hit 0. The screen flashed red rapidly, like a strobe light. "Upload complete. Data leaked. Have a nice day." Then, the screen went black. The silence in the room was deafening. Mr. Henderson looked at me with pure fury. "You brought an infected device into this network, after all the protocols." "I didn't." I was crying now, panic consuming me. "I swear I checked everything last night." "Get out," he said quietly. Get out of my building, Clara. We'll deal with the legalities later. I grabbed my laptop and ran. I made it to the elevator before the pain hit me. It started as a sharp cramp in my lower abdomen, then turned into a tearing sensation. The hallway spun. My vision blurred. I collapsed right there on the carpet of the executive floor, clutching my stomach, screaming for help. The last thing I remember was the security guard, Ralph, kneeling over me, shouting into his radio. "We need a medic. She's bleeding." I woke up in a hospital room. The lights were dim. I felt heavy, groggy. A doctor was standing by the bed, looking at a chart. He looked sad. "Clara," he asked softly. "My baby," I whispered. "Is the baby okay?" He didn't answer immediately. He put the chart down and took my hand. "I'm so sorry. You suffered a placental abruption. It was likely triggered by an acute spike in blood pressure due to extreme stress. We did everything we could, but there was no heartbeat." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling, feeling a hole open up in the center of my universe. The door opened. Greg rushed in. He was holding a bouquet of balloons. He saw me awake and grinned. He didn't see the doctor's face. He didn't see the hollow look in my eyes. "Babes, you're okay." He walked over, chuckling. "Man, Ralph called me and said you passed out. I told him you were probably just being dramatic, but I came anyway." He set the balloons down. One of them said, "Get well soon." "So," he said, leaning on the bed railing, "did you see the look on Henderson's face? I've been waiting all day for you to call me." I turned my head slowly to look at him. "What?" "The presentation," Greg laughed. "The skull, the countdown. I spent 2 weeks coding that little program. It wasn't real ransomware, obviously. It just hijacks the display driver for 2 minutes. I slipped it onto your drive this morning while you were in the shower. April Fool's, babe." The doctor stiffened beside me. "Sir," the doctor said, his voice like ice. "It was a prank," Greg continued, oblivious. "I figured you needed to loosen up. You've been so uptight with this new job. I wanted to show you that even the director can get got. It cost me like $200 for the rootkit access, but totally worth it for the story, right?" I sat up. The pain in my abdomen flared, but the rage was stronger. "You did that," I whispered. "Yeah, it was a joke, Clara. God, don't look at me like that. You can explain it to Henderson tomorrow. He'll think it's funny once he knows it was just your husband messing around." "Greg," I said, my voice sounded dead. "I lost the baby." Greg's smile faltered. He looked at the doctor, then back at me. "What?" "The stress," the doctor stepped in, shielding me with his body. "She suffered a hypertensive crisis in the hallway. It caused a miscarriage. She lost the pregnancy, sir." Greg went pale. He stepped back, bumping into the balloon table. No, that's not possible. It was just a joke. A screensaver that didn't cause this." "You humiliated me," I said, tears finally leaking out. "You terrified me. You made me think I had destroyed my company, and my body reacted. You killed our child for a punchline." "Stop it," Greg snapped, his defensive instinct kicking in instantly. "Don't put that on me. You're stressed because of the job, Clara. You've been working too hard. This isn't my fault. It was a prank. You can't blame a prank for a miscarriage." "Get him out," I told the doctor. "Clara, come on." "Get him out," I screamed, the sound tearing at my throat. Security removed him. I spent 2 days in the hospital. I didn't answer Greg's calls. I didn't answer his texts, which ranged from begging for forgiveness to telling me I was being unfair and crazy. When I got out, I didn't go home. I went to my parents' house. I told them everything. My father, a quiet man who usually avoided conflict, wanted to go over to our house with a baseball bat. I told him no. I had a better plan. I went to the office the next Monday. I looked terrible, pale, thin, fragile, but I walked straight to Mr. Henderson's office. He looked up when I entered. He looked angry, ready to fire me officially. I placed a folder on his desk. "This is the forensic report from my laptop," I said. "It shows that the malicious code was installed manually at 6:45 a.m. on April 1st. I was in the shower. My husband, who has a background in coding, installed it." Mr. Henderson opened the folder. "It was a prank," I said, my voice shaking. "He thought it would be funny to humble me. The stress of the event caused me to collapse and miscarry my child." Mr. Henderson's face changed. The anger vanished, replaced by horror. He closed the folder. "Clara," he said softly, "my God." "I am filing for divorce," I said. "And I am pressing charges for unauthorized access to a corporate device and potential damages to the company. I need to know if I still have a job here, or if his sabotage worked." Mr. Henderson stood up. You have a job, take as much time as you need. We'll handle the legal team regarding the breach. If your husband touched our hardware, we will bury him. I took a month of leave. During that month, I didn't just grieve, I dismantled Greg's life. I filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences, but my lawyer made sure the details of the incident were included in the discovery phase. In Washington state, we have community property laws, but conduct can influence the settlement if it involves the dissipation of assets or malicious behavior. Greg tried to play the victim to our friends. He told them I had no sense of humor and that I was blaming him for a medical tragedy that wasn't his fault. So I released the audio. We had a Ring camera in our living room. It recorded the conversation we had the night he came home drunk, the one where he admitted he was insecure and wanted to take me down a peg. It also recorded him bragging about the prank on the phone to his brother the morning of the meeting. I sent the clips to his brother, his parents, and our mutual friends. I just wanted to humble her, he said on the recording, laughing. She thinks she's so important. Wait until she sees that skull. She's gonna cry. The support for him evaporated overnight. His mother called me, weeping, apologizing for raising a son who could be so cruel. Then came the legal hammer. My company sued Greg for the disruption of business and the cost of the security audit they had to perform after the hack. It wasn't a massive lawsuit, but it was enough to bankrupt him. He lost his savings. He lost his reputation. No tech company in Seattle would hire a man who sabotaged a director's laptop with a fake virus for a laugh. We met for final mediation 3 months later. Greg looked awful. He had lost weight, he looked unwashed, and the charm was gone. Are you happy? He asked me across the table. You cost me my job, you turned my family against me, you took the house. You cost me my child, I said. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You felt small, Greg. You told me you felt small standing next to me. I just made sure the outside matched the inside. I signed the papers and walked out. I'm back at work now. The promotion is going well. We closed the merger with the investors. They actually respected how I handled the crisis, returning to work with such resolve. I bought a small condo in the city just for me. I set up a nursery in the spare room, but I didn't put a crib in it. I put a desk there. I put my awards there. I put a painting of a single white balloon. I mourn my baby every day. I wonder who they would have been, but I don't mourn the marriage. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that April Fool's Day. I think about the moment the screen turned red. It was a cruel, expensive joke, but in a twisted way, it saved me. It showed me exactly who was sleeping next to me. It forced me to choose myself. And I would make that choice again, every single time.